No, she said just a minute. Okay, so I thought the main theme was to stay true to who you are. And so, what are some other ideas you guys have?
My idea was that friendships changed because Bryce hated Julie at the beginning, and at the end he liked her. Kate, what do you think?
I agree with you because Garrett and Bryce used to be best friends, but at the end they did not like each other because Garrett was being basically a bully.
Cool.
I agree with Kate because Garrett was saying bad things about Julie's uncle, so Bryce kind of hated him. So at the end, him and Julie ended up being friends.
I agree with Logan because it's kind of like the same with Julie and Bryce. Like Bryce didn't like Julie at all, and first in the beginning, but then at the end they kind of started liking each other more.
I see it in a different way, Lexi, than you and Logan, because at the end of Flip, Julie was actually scared of Bryce and was running away from him and hiding.
I agree with Cooper because in the beginning, when Bryce first moved in, Julie was the one who came up and was like attacking Bryce and saying how, and just like wanted to be friends with him. And then in 8th grade, everything changed when she like had in mind. She's like, maybe I need to like take a break from like being so crazy about him. And then so at that point, Bryce was the one who was starting to get crazy about Julie. And then
I kind of agree with Ava because, like, for my main theme, I put that people can change, and because everyone changes, maybe not in a good way or a bad, but sometimes it just kind of happens. Like, I think it kind of all switched at the auction, at the Ask It Boy auction. Yeah.
We haven't heard from you yet, Kobe. What do you think?
what do you think the main theme is?
About
Use what you have there.
Yeah. Use what you wrote down.
Let me read it for you.
Did you think the same thing, or did you have? So you agreed that it was about changing. Okay. And what was your evidence? You can read it. Go ahead and read it.
Out loud, please.
Okay.
I think another thing is that you can't judge people by their cover because Julie thought Bryce was kind and nice and everything, but towards the end of the story, she found out that Bryce was a coward.
I agree with you because she got upset with him and kind of like tried to avoid him.
I agree with Cooper because at the beginning, Bryce had nothing to do with Julie, and Julie was always all over Bryce, 24/7, and wouldn't leave him alone. And now at the ending, when he really gets to know her for what she is, he really does find out that he really does like her. But then Julie looks inside of Bryce to see what's in the inside, and she finds a rude and irresponsible coward.
Are you sure about that? Because
Pretty sure.
she, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Really, because yeah.
I think we should move on to a different topic.
Yeah, I was just
Time.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys, so the main conflict that I thought was, like how Bryce and Julie, had feelings for each other that weren't the same. So then throughout the story, it flipped and they both.
I I thought of it in a different way because I put Julie got made fun of because of her uncle, because Bryce talks about her uncle in front of Garrett and kind of just goes along with Garrett because he doesn't want Garrett to think that that he likes Julie. What do you think, Logan?
I agree with Cooper.
Why?
Because Julie was getting made fun of by Bryce and Garrett in the library, and then Julie's friend took her into the library to see if Bryce would admit he liked her, and instead they were talking about David behind Julie's back.
I agree with Logan because, like, at the, because that was before, like, they became friends, Bryce, and then, but, after that, they kind of, broke up with friends because
How do you break up with
well,
friends?
they ended their friendship, but pretty much. And,
Yeah, that makes more sense.
it's almost they purposely did that because, I don't know.
I kind of see it in a different way too. I agree with Ava about what she said about the whole flipped thing, because the conflict was all throughout the story, not just in little parts of the story.
I agree with Ava because I had different feelings about each other because Bryce didn't like Julie and Julie was crazy for him. But at the end, it flipped and then Bryce was crazy for Julie and Julie didn't like him.
I like what they said. I kind of disagree with you guys because when about the uncle and stuff, that mostly just happened at the end, and then the conflict that we three kind of decided on was it happened. It went throughout the story. It started at the beginning and it ended in the end. But the way when you guys are talking about it, it just happened and it started in the middle and then it kind of came up in different spots.
Yeah, I agree with Ava.
So are you saying that is their difference in their view of their relationship is the main conflict, but there are other conflicts that happened in addition? Yeah.
Maybe we should move on to something else.
I think we should move on to perspective.
Yeah.
I think you should start. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, Kobe.
What did you write down for what you thought the importance of perspective was in the story? You can read what you wrote down.
You don't have to look.
Yeah, you have to think a different thing. You want to read mine?
Do you want us to come back to after you get a little bit of an idea?
Okay. Well, what I think is important about perspective is it's that you should I like how authors and stuff put books in different perspectives like this one, because then you get both sides of the story and you get what other people are thinking, and sometimes they're the same and sometimes they aren't.
I kind of agree with Ava because what I thought it was to see different perspectives. Do you agree, Caden?
Yeah. I also agree with Ava because I like seeing different perspectives and seeing how different they are.
I agree with Ava because one moment it's in Bryce's perspective and he tells the story, and then the next it's in Julie's and she tells the same in a different perspective.
I agree with Logan, and I really like how the author did that because like some of the detail like that Bryce didn't have, Julie had, so we got like more detail to the story.
Yeah, I agree with Ava and Lexi because I like how they both have different chapters, so you get more details and you can see like different perspectives of both of them and see what they thought of one conflict and what they thought of it. Maybe they took it the wrong way, and maybe it wasn't the intention of the problem.
I think we need to move on to summarizing.
Okay.
Because
What about
Let's see if Kobe has an idea after he got some ideas.
I don't know.
Do we need to do summarizing? Because we're just kind of.
Do you have anything,
What we
Kobe?
were.
Did you agree
Just
with
kind of
us?
breaking down the story.
Would you agree or disagree with that?
Okay, Cody, why don't you just share your thoughts on it?
Shut off.
There is a.
It's okay. It's fine if you have a different one. It doesn't really
Yeah, it
matter.
doesn't matter. It's your
We're all just sharing our own thoughts.
You can start with his.
This means opinion, so it's what you think.
If you don't know how to start, there's stuff on the
Yeah,
side.
use one of these. Like,
The sentence
you
starter.
agree with Ava because, or,
Well, Kobe's thinking of that. One thing that I want to point out is that something that I've really learned today about the importance of perspective, because I kind of thought about this, but I didn't emphasize it in my mind, or it wasn't emphasized in my mind until I heard so far 5 different conversations about the importance of perspective. And all of a sudden I realized what you guys were saying about how you get more details, you got more details with Julie than you did with Bryce.
Because Bryce didn't like give
I can
any.
still run
He
it.
said,
He
this
just
is what happened, what I saw happen, and then Julie, you got more details from, you got more of a reflection. And it's kind of like, a word just popped in my mind, kind of like layering, which Lexi said, I like how the author did that. I did too, because it's kind of like we layer and get deeper into the story because of how she gave the 2 different perspectives. Maybe that's something that the next round can launch off of, or you can go in a totally different route, or in a totally different way. You might want to start with summarization, the skill, what you learned about that, since we didn't get to speak with it here, but that's totally up to your facility.
Is it done?
Okay?
Sorry.
No. So, what good things happened in this one? We're not gonna do that.
Good
What are some
question.
things that happened? Just a second.
I think a good thing is that we were trying to include everything.
Yeah, everybody got into it.
We got into detail with the story.
Yeah.
And we really shared our opinions.
Share your opinion as well. You gave good examples and evidence. Good thing.
We all agreed.
Yeah. Well, did you all agree?
Well, there was like, we
Not
kind of had
really.
like groups, but most of the time, and it depended. Like, because a lot of people have different perspectives on the story. So like, it's just like what they did in the book. Like, there's different perspectives on that. So we all.
Okay. We will switch. We're going to be really close to the bell, so ignore that bell, and let's get our full adjustments here, and then you'll start to be able to take your free access.
Oh, I found it, Lily.
I sit here.
Yeah,
I'll sit here. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Wait, ouch. Needs to be quiet. Please start. All right, begin.
I thought that the main theme was that friendships change over time. Like Bryce and Garrett, how they fought in the library. Well, not basically in the library, but yeah, when Garrett started talking bad about Julie and what Caden said earlier, that he was just basically a boy.
I agree with you because
when Garrett and Bryce's friendship ended, Julie's and Bryce's feelings began.
Okay. I disagree with Wyatt and Seth because I think that the main theme is don't judge people without getting to know the person because Bryce was really mean and really judgy to Julie until he really got to know her. So that's what I think.
I agree because once you spend so many years building a picture in your mind of what you think of that person, it can be really difficult to change your perspective on that person.
What do you think, Cody?
I think that I agree with Wyatt because if you spend a long time with someone, it's hard to change your perspective on that person. Then I think that's why Bryce agreed with Garrett in a certain situation in the library where they were making fun of his uncle.
What do you think of that person?
I agree with Cody because it's hard to change what you think of a person because like Julie, until the end of the story, she basically thought that Bryce was being a jerk most of the story, or she liked him most of the story.
Anybody else want to say anything else?
What do you think of it, Craig?
Well, I think it's how Julie and Bryce they fought for a while, then they just got over it and became friends, and it just kept flipping back and forth.
So what's like the theme of it? Do you want to go on?
What are your thoughts on the main conflict of the story?
Okay. I think it was mainly just like Bryce and Julie fighting, and then they flipped because Julie always had liked Bryce, but now Bryce likes Julie.
I disagree with you because when Bryce's dad made his fork on it, Bryce wanted to play into it. And when, at the beginning of the story, if he would have made that comment, his dad would have made that comment at the table, he probably would have high-fived his dad.
I agree with Wyatt because that's basically the thing that happened is that Bryce's feelings changed for the Bakers. So, yeah.
I agree with both Seth and Wyatt that Bryce's feelings towards Bakers have changed because as you've seen the full story of how everything laid out after the retarded brother thing happened.
I agree with Cody because it's same as don't judge a person by its cover. Like, they didn't know who the Bakers were until after Bryce had met them, and then his feeling changed for the Bakers and Julie.
All right.
What do you think, Alex?
Back to me.
Okay. Kevin?
Conflict is about like how it like the difference in how one likes each other and the other one doesn't. Like it just kind of just flips.
Yeah.
Because Julie actually admitted that she likes him.
Yeah, anything you guys want to add?
Well, I think it's the conflict was that Bryce's dad kept making fun of the Baker family, and it's also kind of like people who are making fun of Donald Trump and Obamacare and all that.
Here we go.
Or they're judging, making negative judgments.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to what Wyatt disagreed with me with, because Bryce did eventually want to get mad at his dad for making rude comments against the Bakers, but Bryce used to also be the one saying that too. He used to be the one saying the rude comments.
Yeah, Alex.
Should we move on? What do you guys think the importance of the perspective in our story was?
I think perspective is important in this story because the perspective of Bryce and Julie's is there's two different people that think the exact opposite on the same topic. And
I agree with Wyatt because it's like the sycamore tree that Julie thought that the sycamore tree, Bryce thought that it was stupid, but Julie thought that it was the best thing to happen to her. You got anything to add on to McKenna?
I think the perspective is Bryce's perspective changes and so does Julie's. Bryce's changed because Bryce at the beginning Bryce judged their house and everything they had, and then at the in the middle / end or whatever, Bryce started to really take care of the animal.
What's the importance of the fact that the author did that for you? What did you get out of that?
We got to know both sides of it, and we got to know, there's way different sides of it. It usually wasn't the same.
And why is that important?
Because then you get two sides of it.
I agree, because if you only got one side of it, I think it would kind of boring because you just be retelling it, and then but then you get both perspectives on.
Yeah.
Alex, you have anything to say on that? On the perspective of the story.
I agree with Seth and stuff because like the sycamore tree, Julie's perspective of it was she loved the sycamore tree and everything, but Bryce's perspective, it was hated it and it was stupid to him and stuff.
It's just good to have different perspectives, I think. Does anybody?
Well, we got different perspectives.
You want to say anything?
I think the perspective is important because you can get the whole story instead of having to tell it over and over again.
I learned that, I basically learned that friendships can change over time. Like when Garrett and Bryce, they were best friends at the beginning of the story, and then just when Garrett started talking bad about Julie, when Bryce's feelings were flipping, Bryce just went crazy.
I think what I learned about summarizing was that you don't always have to have a bunch of detail, because I ended up not using half of that in my real story or whatever that I was writing.
I disagree because I think that you have to have when we had a limit on how many words we could have on a summary. To have a good summary, I always had to go over the limit. What do you think, Seth?
Yeah, because just like what Wyatt said, when we have a limit, I usually go over the limit and then I have to erase some that.
That's just why you have to pick out the important parts.
Yeah,
not
and then I
all of
erased
the
stuff.
details.
Yeah, I erased some of the important detail of it. What do you think, Alex?
Do you know what you learned about through summarizing? Okay.
I agree with Seth and Wyatt because to get most of the important details, I would have to go over the limit of what we were supposed to get most of the details, but not way too far over the limit.
Okay, what was different in this round versus the first round? Let's see.
Like not all the people got involved.
Okay, not as many people gave as much input. Oh, a lot more eye contact with Steve.
When me or Beth?
To this group?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a lot more disagreements than the other.
Yeah, everybody else is just like agreeing.
Okay, and what do you think you did with that disagreement?
That we
able to.
we talked more about it, so we learned more about the other person's perspective.
Okay, did you get enough evidence?
No.
To really come, you finish that.
I was gonna say how like they we didn't get through it all because we went through everybody and like we told more, like everybody told like what they thought and like the evidence to go over, and then they told more information, so then that's why we didn't go through it, and like they just went through it like quick.
Okay.
Like they didn't give enough like
Didn't have enough evidence to really support or sway the people who disagreed and come to an actual conclusion.
We wanted
I
to
disagree with that because I think that we did get the stuff that we wanted to say, and I think a lot of them they just read the paper.
Okay.
I actually didn't read my paper at all.
Here, Doc. I actually didn't write anything down.
If you look back, because we finished through ours and they kind of went right through it and they looked at it.
Okay. All right.
Reagan and Wyatt pretty much stole the show. They were talking.
Nobody else was
They were
talking.
talking very much.
Yes, and Seth talked about it too. And so it was heavier with some, because like, I think it was.
This side's got more.
Mr. D, you didn't get as equal or balanced a conversation.
For a lot of
This
people,
side
we would
is
ask
more
them
about
like to say anything, and they would not say anything. So it's not like we're taking over the show.
Right. Sometimes that happens. So, and that's just something that hopefully as a group, in your group dynamics, you can work on next time. And it changes each time too. That's where you'll get to be automatic. Going from your awkward to skillful to automatic, then you can be automatic in whatever situation you're in. Let's see, you have something else?
I think that the first group like had more detail to like all the discussions, because like they just kind of like went a little bit too fast and didn't give much detail about like all the
Well,
discussions.
and part of that is because since we did have disagreements, we in the audience or the other listeners probably needed more detail to help us come to some sort of conclusion. So maybe it wasn't that you didn't have as much evidence as everybody else did, but when there's disagreements, you need even more evidence to sway you, to help you understand and come to a collective understanding and conclusion. Cody?
I think this side spoke a bit more than that side.
Yeah, it was imbalanced. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried to say it before.
But you all did very well. You all did very well.
And I'm right in the center.
What we're gonna do, you guys are gonna take a break, and you're gonna come back, self-assess, and then we're gonna reflect on it. What do we do?